Hi, what a wonderful panel we have for you right now, the final one of the day. It's been amazing, hasn't it? I've been here since the beginning. I am now fangirling Trinny Woodall, new business hero for me. Beauty pie, well, I've got a couple of items in my basket. I'm going to wait till I get home to really make that purchase. And I want to volunteer at SmartWorks. I have been inspired by all the people who we've been hearing from. So this is our last stop on the schedule. We're just 30-ish minutes to cover so much. We've got so much to talk about, haven't we? And we're going to keep it pacey and energised because I had that chocolate pudding at lunchtime. And ooh. Anyway, so our aim is to leave you energised and raring to get back to your businesses or your career, or if you're thinking of starting up a business, to feel more positive about that. Because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. I run my own business. I do a bit of this as well, but I also help people, train them and coach them. I run my own business, and it's fantastic, but it is challenging. So we need this energy, don't we? And you know what? We've heard from some fantastically successful entrepreneurs today, haven't we? I mean, they've blown my socks off, I have to say. And in the UK, small and medium-sized businesses had a combined turnover of, now pin your ears back for this, and I'm not making it up, it's ridiculous, a combined turnover of £2.18 trillion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? And businesses with fewer than 10 people have contributed the most in that figure at 820 billion. So if you run a small business, never say, I just run a small business. It's a nonsense. So we're fabulous. That's what I'm trying to say. We're fabulous. So we've heard so much about the power of female entrepreneurship. Let's bring even more of that to life with our panel of women who mean business. Yeah, I love that. Women who mean business. You mean business? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we mean business. The first year it's run, Alison mentioned it earlier, Alison Rose, the first year of the top 100 female entrepreneurs to watch. Our panel here are in the top 10. Yeah? Not just the top 100, the top 10. So, yeah, well done. You can look smug if you want. I know you're all a bit shocked at this, but I hope you're very pleased. So, first of all, let's welcome Erim Kaur, founder of luxury hair and beard care brand ByErim. I love the way you got your name in there as well, by the way.
Had to, self-promo.
Yeah, exactly. Launched in 2019, it's now a multi-million-pound business. Hello to Clair Heaviside here, who is the founder of multi-award-winning digital marketing agency Serotonin. And hello to Alex McFadden, who is the co-founder of Pretty Mama, who you might have seen on Dragon's Den this year. She looks familiar. Yeah? She was there talking about the Pretty Mama range of breastfeeding and accessible clothing that are nice to wear and stylish. If you've ever picked up a maternity bra, you'll know you need that in your life, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, hello to all of you. Now, I've got a couple of questions I'm going to get going with, but I really need your help on Slido to ask these three brains all sorts of questions, and I'll ask them for you if you wouldn't mind just doing that. You know how to work it now? You got the app? Yeah, marvellous. Okay. I'll endeavour to do it at this end. So, team, I've interviewed hundreds of business men and women over the years, business owners, and I've often heard it said that a motivator or catalyst for creating the product or providing the service has been from a point of pain or a challenge to overcome that's been so frustrating that you've just simply had to take action. So if you can give us a flavour of what motivated you to get started, and I want to start with you, Erim.
So my story is a little bit sad, but my mum passed when I was 8 years old, and I was in full custody with my dad. So two things. I was always very aware that I wanted to support my dad financially, because for any of you who've grown up in single-parent households, you know how difficult that is. And equally, my mum had really, really long hair. So I combined my grandma's knowledge of the oils with my want to kind of contribute to my family financially, and then ByErim was born.
Very, very snappy, that backstory there, I have to say. Sad, but amazingly, you said in the paper, actually, have you seen the supplement? Erim is featured in that hair oil was just how you did things. It felt like a really natural part of setting up as an entrepreneur. Like, was there anything else you could have done ever? No.
I know, I always use this example. I'm not comparing myself to J.K. Rowling, but the way she described Harry Potter writing itself is how I felt about starting my own business. It was so frictionless and everything just fell into place.
Okay, thank you. Alex, what motivated, well, I can imagine what motivated you. Go on, tell us a bit more detail.
Yeah, so I was 26 when I fell pregnant with my daughter, and at the time I was looking for maternity wear, breastfeeding wear that suited my style, and there was just nothing available. I felt like nothing spoke to me. It was all very frumpy, very just not stylish at all. So that's when I told my sister about my idea. I've got a bit of a fashion background anyway. I want to start this, and she just loved the idea and said she wanted to be part of it, and that's how it started.
Okay, so what was the first garment that you cobbled together, you stitched? How did it go?
So it was actually lingerie that was started with, and we designed, sampled in the UK. So we're involved in every single bit of the process, learning as we went. I do have a fashion background, but I'm not technical in fashion. Like, I wouldn't know how to make a lingerie set, but we just learned as we went along, and then once we launched, we then moved over to the jumpers and t-shirts within 6 months of launching, and that's what really took the business off.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, and then Claire?
I think there's quite a lot of things that came together all at the same time for it to be the right time to launch Serotonin. But talking about a place of pain, agency, I don't know if any of you have experienced agency life before, but it can be quite intense, extreme, and sometimes quite toxic. And I experienced some toxic leadership.
Like Mad Men?
I think there's a lot of people that wish it was more like Mad Men, but actually it's just a lot of hard work. And unfortunately, I experienced some toxic leadership at an agency that I was at, and that did a lot of things to my confidence and really questioning what I wanted to do. And I said to my co-founder when we first started, I don't want to make money, I want to make a point. And that's no longer true, because I think I've made my point, so now I just really do want to make money. But it really was, that's kind of symptomatic of how I was feeling at the time. You know, I really did have a desire to show that there was no need to run a business in a way that caused people to feel bad. You could run an agency in a productive, collaborative, empathetic way, and that was what drove me.
Yeah. We don't want people crying in the toilets.
No.
In our place of work. Thank you very much.
It's like very simple value.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to make a point, not money, but now I want to make profit. So you all have relatively new businesses. When was what year did you set up?
December 2019.
December 2019.
Yeah.
Alex?
April 2020, just as the pandemic was happening.
Oh, Claire?
In August 2019. So we're pre-pandemic, aren't we?
So you know there's a new word that's been entered into the dictionary this month, permacrisis.
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that, right? Okay, so permacrisis is the new climate, and you're used to this, operating in a business way that is riding, difficulty and challenge all of the time, not just like, oh, it was fine before and now it's awful. So well done. Amazing. And of course, we've got other stuff other than just COVID. We say 2019, 2020, oh gosh, what a difficult thing. But now, of course, inflation, interest rates, energy crisis, Brexit, supply and trade issues. The list is long and endless. It's an endless crisis. So what have you done more of or less of in order to thrive, survive maybe, but thrive? What's the secret sauce there?
I think for us, we obviously started pre-pandemic, and then, we were an office-based business and that was taken away from us. And so we had to adapt to change. But I think there was some kind of positives that came out of that, because actually if you've got an entrepreneurial mindset, you learn to become quite comfortable with discomfort. And so even though there were lots of external challenges and things that were outside of our control, what myself and my co-founder were able to do was just to look at the things that we really could control. And so I think that was where that real entrepreneurial kind of drive came through. So we did the things that you should always do anyway, but we just did them more and better. So we focused on building our network. We doubled down on delivering great services for our clients. We made sure that all our existing clients were really, really happy, that the team were really well looked after. So all the things you should be doing anyway, but it was the bits that we could control. And actually during that period, we experienced the playing field being levelled, just from our industry perspective. And it meant that clients were actually looking to work with agencies that could be quite agile and responsive and not reactive, but respond to change. And it meant that we were actually in a greater position to position ourselves to get larger clients and more influential clients.
So sometimes we think, I'm too small for that big client. I couldn't possibly get a foothold in there. Were you finding then that there was a greater opportunity, level playing field? You were pushing the competition
absolutely.
out of the way.
We won our first global account. It was a game-changing account for us that enabled us to hire, two more people into the team as a direct result of that. And it was because when we were pitching, the client was speaking to somebody at their kitchen table or somebody else at their kitchen table. And it all just came down to who can build the best relationships, communicate the story the best, and prove that they knew what they were talking about. And it wasn't about how fancy your office was or, whether you had offices in New York and Tokyo anymore. It was about who can just deliver the best job through a Zoom camera.
Yeah. Thriving in a difficult time. Any suggestions? What did you do more of, less of, Erim?
For us, we're part of a carbon neutral warehouse, but that didn't mean that we were excluded from rising energy costs. So
can you just explain what the carbon neutral warehouse is?
Carbon neutral warehouse, so it's basically like a green warehouse, but not a greenhouse. We very much then didn't want to push that cost over to our customers because, stability is really important for them and for us, especially in these times. So what we've now learned to do is focus more on organic marketing and social media reach and leaning into our customers as content creators to contribute more UGC for our socials versus spending a lot of money on photo shoots and all those other fancy things.
Okay. Alex, what have you done more of, less of to navigate challenging times like lockdown and setting up a business in lockdown?
Yeah. We obviously launched at the very start of the pandemic, and I'd heard that mothers were one of the worst affected people for income reducing. So we sort of decided that we were still going to launch, but use it more of a soft launch the product, get feedback from customers and make any tweaks that needed to be done in order to improve the products. So that hopefully once the pandemic was over, which we didn't realise it would take 2 years, but products would be perfect and we could push them out further.
So you got some examples of that at all?
For
types of products that you developed?
Yeah, so we started with our jumpers. They launched in August, perfect for the winter. Then we started thinking, well, in summer next year, people aren't going to be wearing thick jumpers. So then we launched the T-shirts. We've had a lot of customers saying, love your T-shirts, but I want a long sleeve T-shirt for winter. So then that's what's going to be getting developed next for next year. Just taking on customer feedback and developing the products from that.
And how did you access that customer feedback? Was that mostly online, or is it? A lot of the panelists today have said they had, as Trini's got stores because she wants to meet the customers.
Yeah.
It could just be all e-commerce, but actually choosing not to has been valuable. And also, baby food. I can't remember your name, sorry. But what sort of interaction did you have with customers?
So we started on Instagram, and sort of always on the stories you put question boxes where customers like to give you their opinions on things, and then sometimes we'd share those and get lots of people agreeing. So we thought, this person's had a great idea, and she's had another 100 people saying I agree with that, make the jumpers longer. But we've also moved over to TikTok, and TikTok is amazing for customer feedback and getting people's comments on your products. Yeah. Amazing.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Say that again, Erin.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah,
they give it.
Is that sometimes a bit harsh, especially if you're in a lockdown, or you're kind of feeling like you have to change things, and then you see someone's feedback that's... Ugh.
It's hard not to take it personal, because I think at first, every time someone said, I don't like this, and I took it really, really personal and thought, you hate my product, you do not realise how much time I've put into this. But I think over time, you realise to just take it as constructive criticism and to improve your product, yeah.
It's an interesting habit to form, isn't it? How thick-skinned do you think you are now? in business? How thick-skinned do you have to be, or resilient, as we call it now?
I think without a doubt, you kind of need to be resilient. And one of the ways that I try and get my head around that and talk to my co-founder about it, because we all go through these dips in crisis of confidence, is we always say to each other, just zoom out of it, because the small amount of criticism, which is always what we end up focusing on, or something negative, regardless of the fact you may have had hundreds and hundreds of people telling you how wonderful your product is, you can focus on that. So it's just, we're always, myself and my co-founder, always giving each other a nudge. Don't go down the spiral, just zoom out. It'll be okay. Look at the curve of how things really are. And the reality is that things go up and things go down. But ultimately, if you're pushing in the right direction, then you will get where you want to go. It's not going to necessarily be a straight line. It's going to be a bit wiggly.
You're an influencer, right? This is the most wonderful new way of launching business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an influencer and here's my product. Wow. You must have a lot of interaction with your customers on all of this. So how do you manage all of that? How do you absorb and measure the data, really, or take it on?
So we have a separate page for ByErim, which Zainab and the front manages. And we take feedback exact same way. Like, I was so happy to hear that. But you know what it is, to what you said, like, out of 100 people, 99 can come up to me and hug me, but that one person that didn't want to hug me is the one that we're always going to remember. So I think it's for us navigating, what are we sharing with Erim? What's going to hurt my feelings? Because I feel like my oil, my shampoo, my conditioner has my blood inside it. I think some customers think it does. And then what is actually constructive? What can we work on? Or are they just saying random nonsense,
Yeah.
Discernment.
Okay, so you've got to kind of filter a safety filter there for you. And then really, I mean, I when I was on telly, I used to be on telly, little ripple of recognition over there, I think. Not really. So I used to do the business news, and it was largely in 2008, 2009, where the was hitting the fan. And I asked a lot of business owners about what they were doing in order to navigate this difficult time, and they said, we're keeping on marketing. The instinct is to go, or the chief executive might go, do you know what, we could just cut that spend quite easily. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you're going to have you're a digital marketing agency. Yes, keep spending. But what are your thoughts on that approach?
I think it's a really simple way of looking at things, right? Well, we need to make savings within the business, so we're going to cut spend on marketing, or we're going to cut advertising, and it's very easy to do that. But I think, like with everything, there needs to be that quite holistic risk assessment of what would be the implication of us pulling back spend when our competitors are potentially taking advantage of the fact that there is it's less expensive to market, for example, because other people are slowing down, and also looking at the impact of what does that look like in 3 months' time when we have to get momentum going again from a standing start, and the expense of that. I think that it's about potentially looking at how you would reallocate marketing spend. So maybe you wouldn't be spending it in quite the same way. You might be thinking about, how can we spend this in a way that's really going to invest in the lifetime value of our existing customers? Or how are we going to take our existing customers and increase their average order value? And those are the things that might be steady, keep us steady for a period of time without us falling off the radar, and then finding, in 3-6 months' time that, there's a lot of competitors jumped in that space, and we just can't, we've got no pathway for ourselves anymore. So I would never give a gut reaction to a client to say, just keep on spending, even though that, that's...
Just keep doing the same old thing.
No, it is about sitting down with the client, and, and with my own agency as well, my own business, and thinking about, do we need to reallocate? What is the risk of doing nothing, and what's the risk of doing something?
Is that something you'd ever do, Erim and Alex, cut on marketing during a difficult time? We're told that there's another 10 years of recession ahead of us and it's going to be awful. But, would you?
Obviously, marketing is important, and we are kind of trying different avenues to see what works best for us. We have tried influencer marketing in 2 different ways. One, this was about a year and a half ago, gifting basis. We gifted a jumper, and within the 24 hours that the person posted, we took £1,500 worth of sales, which was amazing. On the other hand, we paid for like a reality star to post an ad, and the amount that we spent on that was pretty insane, and we did not make the money back. However, we did get a lot of brand exposure, a lot of followers from that, so yeah, we are kind of like seeing what works best for us still.
And that's the nice thing about being a smaller business, isn't it? Is you can try things out, you can test stuff. A lot of stuff is free to use. Social platforms are free to use. I mean, you're the queen of marketing for free. Do you spend much on marketing?
We actually recently started to dabble in Facebook ads, but we just haven't found that it's worked really well for us. But just speaking about whether we cut back on marketing, like, for us, marketing is TikTok videos and trending audios. And I think it seems really silly, you know, me in front of a camera, like lip syncing, and it seems so fluffy and silly. But when that video goes viral, and I think, you know, one of them has over 1 million views, and we're looking at the sales the next day, it's not silly. So that's never something that I would consider cutting from an organic or paid perspective.
Okay, so you're going to keep on pushing the marketing, because then when consumers come back or businesses come back to spend more, you're front of mind, right?
Yeah, I think it's just really important that there isn't kind of a silver bullet. So just setting some paid ads live on Meta or on Facebook just isn't going to cut it. It's always having a combination of all these things. We always push our clients really be multi-channel and to understand what those platforms need to do to perform for you. Email is a great channel and a really important channel to build your community. But how do we get people onto that database? Is it through working with influencers? Is it through lead generation adverts on Instagram? Is it through attending an event and physically getting people to sign up? And if that's your goal, to then grow your database, once you've got that database, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to keep communicating with them, keep them warm, keep them engaged, and then how are you going to convert that into sales? So it is always looking at the multi-channel. And just to say as well, you know, I absolutely agree with you. This creation of content is so powerful, and this really is such an incredible tool, and you are an absolute beacon for it, for this community-led marketing, being able to build a community. And it's not free. It's your time, it's your creativity. You've got to remember, energy. Organic content isn't free. Creating that content is important and valuable, and it's important never to devalue it. It's, but yeah, it's very inspiring that you're then doing that.
And that's where smaller businesses can steal a march on the larger organisations by being the figurehead of the business, showcasing what you do rather than hiding behind a brand or a logo. And communicating that way. I've got lovely questions here. A couple of them are on marketing. What tips do you have for small businesses who don't have a lot of money for marketing, but they might have a bit of time? So maybe you've just answered that. Anything else? Any other tips or a bit of advice that you'd definitely share?
I've talked about this a lot today, TikTok. So obviously we were on Dragon's Den, and the sales from that, like the next day, was our website kept crashing. It was insane. However, we also done a TikTok, which on the day of filming, I was in a huff. Jenny was doing it. It went terrible. But you know what I thought? Just post it anyway. I do not care anymore. I'm sick of this. In the sales from that one TikTok that went viral, almost hit the same amount of sales from being on that episode of Dragon's Den. So TikTok.
Yeah.
And that was,
power of visibility. Yeah. Now TikTok wouldn't work for my business, and this is the difficulty, isn't it? When you're
thinking
it could. It could, yeah.
You want to see me on TikTok?
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to talk to you about that. But you know, I traditionally am LinkedIn. You know, business to business. Did I hear a boo?
No.
I thought you went boo. It's like, controversy. Okay,
not
so
proud.
but when I first started up, and I don't know if anyone resonates with this, but it was like, which one do I do? I have to do all of them. Oh my God, I can't do any of them. It's too much. So it sounds like you found your lanes that are appropriate for your businesses and your customers. Yeah. What's your advice on finding your lane and going for it on that rather than that channel? Yeah,
just always starting with your customer, who your customer is, and tap. I mean, this is, you know, really, I feel like, you know, in a room full of entrepreneurs, you all already know how important your customer is, and just doing that kind of deep research into who they are. And then I think thinking creatively outside the box about in ways to reach them. You know, there is other brand collaborations is a really fantastic way to tap into another market. Events, real life events. Think about the Trini Tribe. Okay, that is a fantastic example of what is now this community-led marketing approach, which is really driven by brands like ByErim as well. that it is giving that autonomy and trust to your tribe and enabling them to become ambassadors for you. And that means that venturing out into different channels and different environments to try and find them, and then give them the power, or give them your brand and allow them to take it forward. But I think the Trini tribe model for me is just like, that's just magic, isn't it? That's just the future of how...
Well, you can't pay for that, and she didn't.
Yeah.
And so, it really worked out.
And
it's gold dust.
Yeah, you've got brands now that want to be people, and you've got people that want to be brands. And we've got all these big brands that are trying to be real, authentic people, like, the Trini tribe. They would love to have your Adidas desperately trying to start run clubs so that they can be like Trini tribe. And then you've just got Trini Woodall just going, oh yeah, fine. Just come and join me on my journey. And people love it. Yeah, I think it's very powerful.
Erim, do you feel like a walking brand?
Yeah.
How does that work when you get home, you take your makeup off, you've got your jammies on? Do you still feel like a brand then? I mean, walk me through how you...
from bed.
how you personally navigate that distinction.
So I very much see Erim kind of like as a shiny brand. So anything good or bad that comes to her sits right here. And then there's a nice distance, and then I'm right here. The problem is when I'm out and about and I have my ponytail or my hair out and people recognize me that way, I kind of tuck my hair in if I'm just kind of like red light above my head. But yeah, I have an understanding of the difference between myself as a person and a brand. I think the second that you understand that, I think we're all to some extent brands online. Differentiating between who you really are and what you're portraying to the world is really important, I think, for just mental health and sanity.
It might be that people in the audience are thinking, well, you've all got it sorted. You don't have imposter syndrome. You don't worry about what you look like because you're all glorious. And, why would I go on? It's too exposing. That exposure makes you feel exposed. Was there a point at which you went, oh, sod it?
Yeah.
And carried on, and it kind of helped your confidence that way, or how are you with it at the moment?
I just woke up on my 40th birthday and was like, yay, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Literally,
I'm
I
going
don't
to
care.
John Lewis. I'm going to live there.
I really, honestly, it was the best thing. I just woke up and was like, yeah, I really don't care anymore, and it was great. So that's all I can say is just try and get to that. If you're under 40, then just get to that point quicker than I did.
Yeah. Okay. Have you run out of F's to give? Is that what Claire says?
I give too many.
Okay.
I need to get better.
Okay, so confidence, imposter syndrome, any advice for people to push through?
Everybody feels it. I think every single person in this room right now will have some kind of sense, including, I'd even say you would, possibly. No, she doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think we all do. We all know it, don't we? And I think the conversations been having today, and with some of the other women who are featured on the list as well, we look around at them and we're all like, wow, like you're amazing. And then you realise that, oh no, we all feel it, right? And so that's just helpful, I think.
Yeah.
I think on the board out there where there's the picture and next to mine, Jenny's name, it says that you can have a business and a family. And I text my friends a picture. I was like, I run on stress, anxiety and breakdowns daily from trying to run the business and raising 2 kids. And it's just crazy that I still do that. And it is a bit like imposter syndrome, how am I managing to do it? And it was really nice to be in the seminar with the satchel company and talking to, listening to someone else who's got kids or have got a small family and they're running a business at the same time, and knowing that other people are going through it as well, and you can relate to them.
Being on TikTok is just one of those elements, isn't it, of challenge? I would say, though, you said on our call that we had our briefing call, very important part of panel stuff, that no one knows how hard it is. I think we all know in the room how hard it is, but we've chosen these problems to solve because we like solving these problems. And I think if you don't like solving problems like this, don't bother. But yeah, you obviously do. What else? You eat anything as well? You have adrenaline, puffs,
caffeine.
Yeah, a lot of
caffeine. Brilliant. So we've got some other questions. Okay, this is a good one from Anonymous. Thank you. Could you share what your first big win was and advice on how early stage businesses could achieve theirs? Early wins. It's an interesting question, isn't it?
Ours was our first sale. So from launching, even though we had a lot of people interested and we sort of teased the brand at first and this is what's launching, and we expected that when we launched we'd get loads of sales that day, and it took us, was it 3 weeks? 3 weeks to get, and it was every day on Instagram posting, talking about the brand, and that first day that we got a sale 3 weeks later, we were like, yes, we finally sold something.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah. First big wins, either of you?
So we launched originally with 250 units, and then it sold out within 4 hours. And FYI, I've been fired from every job I've ever had. So I lay in that hotel room that night and I was like, oh my God, I found the thing that I meant to do and no one can fire me from this.
Yay. That is a big win.
Felt good.
Yeah, fantastic. Claire?
I think I kind of referred to it a little bit earlier with it was just quite a significant client win that we had in the December after we first started. And that was quite monumental because all the way through the pitch process, we kept considering backing out. We'd won this client from a networked agency in New York and didn't feel that we were ready for it. But it was really a moment of going, we do really know what we're talking about.
I think those small
good.
wins helps you see yourself as
Yeah.
others see you, which is often quite a lot more impressive than you humbly go along just doing your work.
Sure.
Couple of final questions, couple for Erim really. What is your advice? Sorry. Did you get external investment?
No.
And if not, how did you grow the business and keep having enough capital to continue production? And another one from Keisha at Imagine Me Stories. Similarly, what was the key factor that helped you scale your business so quickly? So
Okay.
did you get investment?
No, I used to work at nightclubs from the age of 18 to 24 and I saved all my tips and I didn't know what I was saving them for. So that was my original investment and it was 10K. And then every single time I did a drop, not trying to sound like Superdry or whoever they are, I used that money and reinvested it into more units next time.
Wow. So have some of your own capital
Yeah.
to invest.
But don't work at a nightclub, guys. It's not fun.
Good for you. Love this. Brilliant. Okay, well, we're going to bring it to a close in a moment, but I just have a final question for you. And it's advice for this beautiful group of women in front of you. A final word to help them leave with a spring in their step as women who mean business. What's the best thing about being in business for you? The very best thing? Come on, somebody say something. There's got to be something good.
I think for me, it's it can be quite emotional sometimes when you really have a chance to reflect and think about what you can achieve. And that, when I said at the beginning about making a point, I think the really biggest thing has been making a point to myself that I can do things and I've overcome things. And the exhilaration of the buck stopping with you is really something quite powerful. And and I think that's it bleeds into all aspects of my life.
The personal fulfillment, the best thing.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
knowledge that you can do stuff.
Yeah, and surprising yourself with the things that you do, like coming and sitting on here and talking about. You're like, wow, I've done that now.
Yeah, brilliant. Alex?
We get the most amazing customer reviews. We'll get messages and DMs of like a young mother who will say, I've really struggled to breastfeed in public. I can't do it. And I bought your jumper and I went out for the first time with my baby and breastfed in public. And it was just amazing. And that's the thing that spurs us on, knowing that we're making a real difference in helping our customers.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, proud.
Yeah.
Pride and fulfillment.
Yeah,
Lovely. Erim, best thing about being in business?
I love that story. I don't have that, but I have a tip. I was going to say to you guys, like, there's 8 billion people in the world, and I know sometimes as women we can be a little bit more risk averse. I definitely can be. Don't want to generalize, actually. If you don't do it, someone else will. There are too many people for us all to be having original ideas. So just make sure that you are the boldest, bravest person in the room, and you go ahead and do it before you think you're ready. The end.
Yeah, before you think you're ready, just push yourself. Okay, well, thank you all so much, Erim, Alex and Claire, and good luck with the future of your businesses, which are growing and smashing it and bossing it.